Good Tuesday afternoon to you. Hope you're having a great day. Thanks for joining Sports4CLE. Indians have the day off. They'll be back over at Progressive Field to face the Royals 1 o'clock tomorrow. We'll hear from Shane Bieber, Terry Francona as they try to get things all headed in the right direction and improve on that 1-3 start. We'll also check in on what's new at Progressive Field with Gab Kreuz. But we will talk plenty of Browns football, and that's where we will begin. The Browns trying to figure out the pieces as they wrap up free agency, move forward with that NFL draft that's coming up in Cleveland in just a few weeks now. Let's welcome in Dan Labbe, Browns beat reporter here on cleveland.com, as well as the page of the Plain Dealer. Dan, Pro Football Focus came out with positional group rankings, and not really a surprise, but it is kind of nice. Browns offensive line, best positional group, according to Pro Football Focus in the NFL. They certainly performed well and earned that.
They did, and it's really just a unit award. All five of those guys performed at a level high enough to make it a really great offensive line. And even Jedrick Wills, look, he had his struggles as a rookie here and there, but he really solidified left tackle. Bringing in Jack Conklin solidified the right. And then the interior of that line was fantastic. We knew about Bitonio and Treader, but Wyatt Teller kind of comes out of nowhere. Probably one of John Dorsey's best trades, best acquisitions. Has to be Wyatt Teller based on what we saw from him. And what I think is really exciting is Jedrick Wills can get better. Teller can get better as a pass blocker. This line might be the best unit in football, but there's room for them to improve still.
And the other thing is Bill Callahan, the coach of that line, did great work. The other thing to keep in mind is they were pulling guys out of free agency, putting them in playoff games, and they were performing. So it was a line that missed games late in the year and had guys walk in off the street and perform really, really well. So not only is it good, it's pretty deep too.
And you said the key name there. It's Bill Callahan. Kevin Stefanski went out and hired a guy to coach this offensive line who is one of the best offensive line coaches in football. Wyatt Teller was going to work with Bill Callahan in the offseason before he got hired by the Browns because he wanted to improve that technical aspect of his game. So adding Callahan not only gave Stefanski an ear in the building if he needed to ask questions or, run something by him in his first time as a head coach, but it also gave the Browns one of the best offensive line coaches in football. And it also speaks to, I just think organization-wide, their goal is to have every player on the roster ready to step in. They're not all going to be Pro Bowlers. They're not all going to be great over the course of a season. But if you need a guy to step in and play a game or play 2 or 3 weeks, this coaching staff is going to get those guys ready.
And you mentioned Jedrick Wills. Think about switching from right tackle to left tackle, not having any preseason, any training camp, any OTAs, but being able to at least go out there and hold your own at a completely new position where you do things a little differently, more than a little differently.
Yeah, and I love that the Browns didn't protect him. We talked to Callahan last spring, and he was basically asked, is there a chance that maybe you wouldn't want to throw him out there week 1? And Bill Callahan didn't shy away. He said, no, I want him out there. I want him out there week 1. I want to see and be able to document that improvement from week 1 through week 17. And then, of course, into the postseason, they got those extra weeks. They didn't want to protect Jed Wills. They took him number 10. They wanted to put him out there at left tackle. And I don't feel like he ever looked in over his head. Again, you can nitpick some things here. I know PFF didn't give him the best grade, but just the eyeball test tells me that they have a guy that can play the position, and I think ultimately can play the position at a high level.
So let's take a look at, and you did this as far as guys that were paid based on performance for the Browns, paid well, earned their money, so to speak, or over-earned, if you will, and Teller comes away with that. Take me through that and what you found in the analysis that you did on the Browns and performance-based pay.
The things it tells you is every team gets this pool every year, and this year was $8.5 million, and they hand out the entire pool, and it's basically determined by your playing time and then what your contract pays you. So the guys who are going to get it are the guys who are on smaller contracts who play a lot. So the thinking there is if you play a lot, it means you were valuable to your football team. They wanted you on the field, and so we're going to kind of make good a little bit on what you were being paid on your contract. Wyatt Teller was not a high draft pick. He's not making a lot of money, and he was out there a lot for the Browns. And So it's not necessarily always an indication of like, hey, you were one of the best players on the roster. I mean, look, Andrew Sendejo was pretty high up the list for the Browns because of the deal he had. But in the case of Wyatt Teller, it just tells you this is a guy we didn't even know would necessarily be the starting right guard, this time last year. And then he comes in and, missed a few games due to injury, but ultimately was really productive, kept himself on the field, and he certainly deserved to be the highest paid player as far as that performance-based pay pool goes.
Who are some of the other ones that you noticed that earned that and earned, because it goes to durability and those kind of things as well.
Right, exactly. Harrison Bryant was high up the list. This is a guy that was really good in the first half of the season and tailed off a little bit in the second half, but he's still a guy that the coaches trusted to have out there for a lot of snaps. So again, that's something that it really reflects. Rashard Higgins was high up the list. Rashard Higgins signed for under $1 million. It was not guaranteed. He was not playing the first few weeks of the season. And it was all Rashard. I give him so much credit because even this coaching staff, who finally kind of really started to utilize him early in the year, he was playing garbage time or he was inactive. When he finally got his opportunity, he showed them, you've got to have me on the field, and they went with it. And so I give Rashard Higgins a ton of credit. And so he was pretty high up the list as well, as a guy that ended up playing a lot of snaps, and his base salary wasn't very high. So he gets to add a little more. And the only bad news for these guys is because of the kind of renegotiation last year with the lowered salary cap, they're not going to see this money until at least 2024. But I guess it's a nice little, I don't know what you want to call it, a nice little savings account to sit on for a few years at least.
Dan Labbe, Browns beat reporter here on cleveland.com. And I'm going to take a quick timeout. On the other side of the break, we're going to talk roster upgrade. We'll also hear an interesting take when Austin Hooper signed with the Browns. This one didn't age very well. And the schedule ahead for the Browns, one of the toughest in the NFL. Sports4CLE, we'll be right back talking Browns. Stay with us.
Life is starting to get back on track, and you can too. If you or your family have experienced financial hardship as a result of COVID-19, Tri-C can help with full tuition assistance. Safely get the in-demand degree or training you need with online and on-campus classes. Go to tric-edu to check out our programs and resources. So, what are you waiting for? Register now for summer classes. Tri-C is where futures begin.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just a mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Well, hello everyone. Let me tell you a little bit about Browns Football Insider. For only $3.99 a month, you can get texts sent right to your phone each day from me, Dan Labbe, Scott Pasco, and Ellis Williams. In addition to that, you'll receive a Football Insider newsletter every day with special things from us, things that you won't see anywhere else on the site. You'll get breaking news, analysis, features, film breakdown, and things like that. Texting us directly gives you a great chance to cut through the clutter of Facebook, Twitter, other social media, and avoid the trolls. Also, it's the only way to get your questions on the Orange and Brown Talk podcast. So why should you sign up? Try a 14-day free trial. You can cancel at any time. All it takes is one text. But you won't want to cancel. We have hundreds of subscribers join us over the last year. They love it and have stayed with us. We're seeing the Football Insider community grow every week. And it's only $3.99 a month, which is less than 14 cents a day. What I like most about Football Insider is the opportunity to connect with you one-on-one and really communicate with you. So how can you become a Football Insider? You can click on cleveland.com/Browns, the blue banner at the top of the page. Or easier yet, text me at 216-208-3965. Again, that's 216-208-3965.
Sports4CLE continues. I'm Dave Bacon. We continue to talk Browns football. A year ago, when the Browns signed Austin Hooper as a free agent, Austin took a little bit of grief, especially from Falcons fans, which is where he came from. Atlanta was a free agent, signed with the Browns. Take a listen. This one did not age very well.
So hilarious. So, have fun going up to Cleveland and winning 2 games this year. I was just
yeah.
I remember that old thing just popped up in one of my feed recently. I was just like, oh, this aged really well. I want these Falcons fans that are watching. I love my time there. It was just funny.
Did you ever let that get to your head? Did you ever have second thoughts in the offseason?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah.
I mean, not at all. I just picked the best place where I felt like we could do something special.
When Austin Hooper and the Browns won a playoff game, the Falcons are picking 4th in the upcoming NFL draft. Let's welcome back in Dan Labbe. Dan, Austin Hooper has to kind of chuckle when he hears that.
Yeah, for sure. And it's funny how things have changed, right? Because this year, all the free agents were throwing around the word Super Bowl and talking about how the Browns are a real contender, and that's one of the reasons they wanted to come here. So, look, I'm sure Austin Hooper saw the upside and certainly got paid very well to come here, but saw that upside when he was here. I know Baker Mayfield was one of the reasons that he wanted to sign with the Browns, and he really liked the way Mayfield plays and the swagger he brings. So I'm sure Austin Hooper at the time was thinking, don't worry, we're going to prove you guys wrong, and now he kind of gets to take that victory lap.
And the flip side of it is, look, the Browns are going to find a way to get him more involved without question. Give this offense a little bit of time to get into the second level and the graduate level, as we like to call it sometimes. But expect Hooper to be a big part of this offense moving forward as well.
Yeah, and they really need to. I mean, ultimately, at least from a statistical standpoint, his first season with the Browns was a disappointing one. But, they'll figure things out with him. And him and Baker will get more on the same page. I do think in the second half of the season, we saw them connecting a little better. And I think he's going to end up as one of Baker Mayfield's top red zone targets this year. We saw it, again, over that last month or so when Baker was playing really well. Austin Hooper was the beneficiary in the red zone.
Take a look back, not last year, but now 2 years ago, and look at where the roster sits now as opposed to then, before you had the offensive free agency wave last year and now the defensive wave. And the roster upgrade is dramatic.
Yeah, I mean, they were aggressive. Andrew Berry came in and said he was going to be aggressive improving this roster, and he focused on the offense. We've talked about this before. He focused on the offense last year, and then this offseason was just a very targeted approach to that defense. And it wasn't all spectacular, right? You had the big signings of Conklin and Austin Hooper, and then this year, of course, the signing of John Johnson. But now you've also got a guy like Troy Hill, a guy like Malik Jackson. You have some of these other signings that maybe aren't the real headline grabbers. They aren't going to maybe earn you an A+ in free agency, compared with some other teams that maybe went out and signed bigger guys, but it was just all very targeted. This is the need. We're going to go out and fill it with the best guy available. And, by the way, the draft still hasn't happened yet. There's going to be significant contributors added at the end of the month.
And the flip side of it is most of these guys are young guys who have established themselves as pretty good NFL, pretty good to really good NFL players. So it's a group that you figure is still approaching its prime.
And that's who I think they're going to target over and over again in free agency when they're looking to spend money. Guys like Austin Hooper going into his second contract, John Johnson, second contract, Jack Conklin, same deal, second contract. These are guys who are still in their mid-20s. They're still in their prime. You've got to be careful when you start signing guys who are 30 and up. Now, that doesn't mean that they won't do it if it's the right fit. Malik Jackson is a veteran guy that helps this team and makes this team better. But when you look at those names I mentioned, even an Anthony Walker who was signed to a shorter-term deal, you're really looking to sign guys that when you bring them in and you do spend big money, you're spending that money on guys in their prime years.
The other thing is as we look at this schedule coming up, now the Browns have the 9th toughest schedule in the NFL, but the easiest in the AFC North. That'll tell you the crossover games there with the North are pretty rough. When you look at this schedule, what does it look like? What do you see?
Well, look, they've got to play the AFC West, which I think has the potential to be one of the toughest divisions in football. We know about Kansas City. I think the Chargers are a team, on the up with Justin Herbert. Let's see what Denver does at quarterback. Las Vegas is Now, I don't know. They might be a 500 team again, but they're still a team that can come in and play really well. You don't get to play the NFC East this year. That hurts, obviously. You do play the NFC North, so you got to face Aaron Rodgers. You do have to face Minnesota, who I think is a good football team. So, it's just a more difficult schedule. And even, having to play a team like New England, that's that kind of third place crossover game with the AFC East. Maybe New England will be good this year. Now, they went 7-9 last year, so I think they were better than people kind of remember last year, but that's not going to be an easy game either. And then, of course, you toss in Arizona as that additional game.
The other thing is the division, the Steelers are probably a little down. Ravens are probably right there where they were, and the Bengals are kind of the wild card. If they can figure out a way to protect Joe Burrow, that's an offense you really don't want to deal with.
And I think we saw it this season when the Browns and Bengals played that second time. The Bengals are going to be a team that, like you said, if they can protect Joe Burrow, they can get you into a shootout. I don't know that their defense is going to be so improved that they're going to shut anybody down. I mean, I really liked Trey Hendrickson in free agency. I don't know if he's an upgrade over Carl Lawson. That just seems like kind of treading water there. But, that's a team that has the talent, has the quarterback, and if the offensive line is right, you're going to show up and you might have to win a 35-30 game or even a 45-40 game. And, those games tend to be coin flips. So that's what makes the Bengals difficult, or at least potentially difficult.
You look at the Ravens and the Steelers, those are two of the most difficult schedules in the NFL as well. So, again, that's tough news for Browns fans, huh?
Yeah, they'll take it. I mean, the Browns get the Cardinals in that extra game. The Steelers get Seattle, and the Rams play Baltimore. So, Arizona's tough. Arizona's a good football team, but if I had to choose between those three teams, I would probably choose Arizona over having to play Russell Wilson and over having to play the Rams, who I think are legitimate Super Bowl contenders. You
and I have talked about this a couple times. It surely seems like the Steelers are trending downward, I believe. They did get Juju Smith-Schuster back, but if Steelers fans know what they're getting at the quarterback position, let me know, because I want the lottery numbers too.
It's hard to look at that team and get excited about what they are. I don't think they're going to be like a 5-win team or a 6-win team. I think we saw a few years ago that defense was good enough to keep that team, at kind of sea level, right? I think they actually went 8-8 that year. That's a team that can win 7 or 8 games again, I think. But I don't know what their ceiling is. I don't think this is a team based especially on what we saw over the last month of the season. And then, of course, in that wild card game, I don't see a team that can compete with Cleveland and Baltimore in the AFC North. I think they're probably, the third best team in the division at best. And who knows, if Joe Burrow takes off and that Cincinnati offense takes off and the Pittsburgh Steelers scuffle, it could be different. Now, they're a team that can make it look stupid in October when they're 4-2, but I just don't see it with this team.
Yeah, again, their defense is going to be tough. But the question is, where are their this question this year was, where are their playmakers? They don't have the playmakers you need on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, and I don't know about their line. I just don't know about their running game. And, you mentioned Smith-Schuster. He was really good when Antonio Brown was there, and he was kind of able to work in the slot. But ever since Antonio Brown left, he hasn't been able to step in and fill those shoes. Now, I like a guy like Chase Claypool. I like some of the weapons they have, but even now in 2021, you've got to be able sometimes to just line up and run the football. And I don't know if the Steelers can do that. And with Big Ben, yeah, he can put up stats and he can put up numbers, but just the way that offense looked last year, so reliant on him just throwing the ball a bunch, it doesn't seem sustainable.
Dan Labbe and I, definitely sustainable. We're going to step aside, take a quick time out. On the other side of the break, we will talk about some of the Browns' most important players at different positions. We'll also have how's Jadeveon doing? Jadeveon Clowney update. Coming up, Sports4CLE will continue. Stay with us.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions, or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
Better days are ahead. Be ready with the training you'll need to get a great job. If you or your family has experienced financial hardship as a result of COVID-19, Tri-C can help with full tuition assistance. Whether you want to improve your skills, get certified, or train for a new career, go to tri-c.edu to check out our programs and resources. So what are you waiting for? Register now for online and on-campus summer classes. Tri-C is where futures begin.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a line. A long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Do you like Ohio State football? Would you like to get information from me, Doug Lesmerises, about Ohio State football without having to look at my face? We have got the plan for you. Become an Ohio State text subscriber through cleveland.com. You send a text, 614-350-3315. What do you get? 2, 3, 4 texts right in your phone every day about Ohio State football. Inside information, polls, voting, all kinds of things. You can be on our podcast. We take text subscriber questions on our Buckeye Talk podcast every week. If you really want to be involved with Ohio State football, in season or out of season, become an Ohio State text subscriber from cleveland.com. Send a text to 614-350-3315. 14-day free trial. What do you have to lose? $3.99 a month after that. 614-350-3315. I'll see you in your phone.
Sports4CLE continues. I'm Dave Bacon. We continue talking Browns football with Dan Labbe, Browns beat reporter. Dan, you did an interesting story this week talking about the guys that are the most valuable for the Browns at different position groups. Let's start things out wide receiver and kind of go through the thought process behind doing this, and then we'll talk about the wide receiver position as well.
Well, I think the goal was, and playing a little fast and loose with the word important maybe, but the goal was to kind of identify the guys that this team needed to either step up, or the guys that are kind of, linchpins or keys to what they do, at a certain position. So, look, obviously Odell Beckham is important, but I went with Jarvis Landry at receiver just because I think of all the things he offers this team offensively, his ability to make plays after the catch. You can do a lot of different things. You can get him the ball in a lot of different ways. His blocking is incredibly valuable, and he's there every single game. The only game he's missed is because he got caught up in that COVID protocol contact tracing. So he doesn't miss because of injury. He's out there every single Sunday. And I really think that matters for a lot of these guys to know that you can just write Jarvis Landry in the starting lineup in Penn. He's going to be out there for you, and you know exactly what he can bring to you. So I still think he's one of the most important guys in this receiving core.
The other thing is he is a ferocious blocker in the run game. And, I know I'm willing to bet Nick Chubb likes that a whole lot.
And look, it's important because especially when Nick Chubb gets in that second level. And the other thing about Landry too is he'll come in and he'll block a big guy. He's not afraid. And that kind of attitude, I think, permeates across that room when he does stuff like that.
You went with a young guy on the defensive line. What were you thinking with Elliott as the most important guy on that D-line?
Right. So this is one where I'm looking at a guy, most important guy who maybe needs to step up and really be important on this line. Because obviously, look, Myles Garrett is the guy that makes everything go on that line. Jordan Elliott's important because I think they need to really consistently create pressure on the inside. Whatever they do on that other end with Takk McKinley, or if Jadeveon Clowney comes, or if they draft a guy, that's fine. But they've got to create pressure inside. So they've got Sheldon Richardson, they've got Malik Jackson. I don't think Malik Jackson is going to play every snap in there. They need Jordan Elliott, who played a lot last year, but is not a guy whose name I heard a lot. We need to hear that name a little bit more. We need to see him getting into the backfield and creating pressure. I think more than run stopping, when you look at those defensive tackles, you want guys that can create pressure up the middle, because that chases the quarterback into number 95 on one side and then whoever you've got on the other side.
Another one, a young guy that I know they were counting on drastically, safety Grant Delpit.
Yeah, and Joe Woods admitted it to us last year after Delpit got hurt that he was going to play a huge role in this defense. It wasn't going to be a traditional safety. It was going to be a guy that played in the box, that played deep, that kind of played everywhere. We've talked so much about the safety position and how important it is. And now they've got Delpit coming back. They've got Ronnie Harrison. They've got John Johnson. They've got three really versatile safeties. But I still think, as great as John Johnson is, as much as he brings to that defense, I think so much of it still hinges on what Grant Delpit can do and him being that player that they thought they were getting when they picked him just ahead of Antoine Winfield in that second round.
Now, this one's interesting. The cornerback that's the most important is draft pick.
Right. So I could have said Greedy Williams here, right, for a lot of the same reasons with Delpit. But I went with the draft pick. I went with a guy that maybe they would take at number 26, or maybe you take him in the second round. I just really keep feeling like a cornerback would not surprise me at all at number 26 overall. Yes, they could go edge rusher. Yes, they could go a guy like Zaven Collins, who I'm really starting to like, even though we've talked so much about linebacker. I think he does more than just play linebacker for this team. But if the right guy is there, a big, fast, athletic corner who can cover, who can be your lockdown number 2 guy, I think that changes your defense. And now you're not so reliant on Greedy Williams coming back off that injury. And let's not forget, we just don't exactly know who Greedy Williams is to begin with. He was fine his rookie year, but I don't know if he necessarily proved he's your lockdown number 2 corner.
All right, time for that part of the show where it's as Jadeveon Clowney's world turns. I'm of the mindset we haven't heard him attached or taking another visit. And usually when you hear, the Browns are talking to Clowney, and it continues, there's usually something to that. Do you get the same sense?
I do. And I just feel like neither side is necessarily in a rush right now. There's time. And, if the Browns are comfortable with that injury, then they're set. They just kind of need to wait for that answer with Clowney. And if Clowney wants to wait to see how the draft plays out, to see, if some other opportunity becomes available, that's fine. He's allowed to do that. But ultimately, yeah, I think if, everybody's just sort of playing the waiting game, I don't think either side is in a rush on this. And I don't think either side has to be in a rush on this.
Do you think it's necessarily a good, bad, or indifferent thing that we haven't heard his name attached to another visit even? The only team he's visited with is the Browns. And if he had visited another building, we'd have heard about it.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing for the Browns. I think it tells you that he was at least interested enough to, come out here and meet with the Browns, let them kind of get an idea of how he's coming back from that injury. And the fact that he hasn't sort of gone on a free agency tour is a good thing. I just think Clowney's kind of a quiet, private guy. I think the people in his camp are kind of the same way. And like I said, I just don't think either side is in a rush, and they don't necessarily have to be, because the Browns can do what they need to do with or without Clowney. They can still draft a guy. They can still, go in with thinking Tack McKinley could be the starter over there. I don't think Clowney necessarily changes their options there. He just makes them better on top of whatever they do.
Dan Labbe and I are going to take a quick time out. On the other side of the break, we'll take a look at some of the new national media mock drafts and who they have coming to Cleveland. Also, could there be some veterans that are traded, Browns veterans, before the NFL draft? Sports4CLE will continue. Stay with us.
Life is starting to get back on track, and you can too. If you or your family have experienced financial hardship as a result of COVID-19, Tri-C can help with full tuition assistance. Safely get the in-demand degree or training you need with online and on-campus classes. Go to tric-edu to check out our programs and resources. So, what are you waiting for? Register now for summer classes. Tri-C is where futures begin.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a line. A long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Well, hello, everyone. Let me tell you a little bit about Browns Football Insider. For only $3.99 a month, you can get texts sent right to your phone each day from me, Dan Labbe, Scott Pasco, and Ellis Williams. In addition to that, you'll receive a Football Insider newsletter every day with special things from us, things that you won't see anywhere else on the site. You'll get breaking news, analysis, features, film breakdown, and things like that. Texting us directly gives you a great chance to cut through the clutter of Facebook, Twitter, other social media, and avoid the trolls. Also, it's the only way to get your questions on the Orange and Brown Talk podcast. So why should you sign up? Try a 14-day free trial. You can cancel at any time. All it takes is one text, but you won't want to cancel. We have hundreds of subscribers join us over the last year. They love it and have stayed with us. We're seeing the Football Insider community grow every week, and it's only $3.99 a month, which is less than 14 cents a day. What I like most about Football Insider is the opportunity to connect with you one-on-one and really communicate with you. So how can you become a Football Insider? You can click on cleveland.com/Browns, the blue banner at the top of the page. Or easier yet, text me at 216-208-3965. Again, that's 216-208-3965.
Sports4CLE continues. I'm Dave Beckin. We continue talking Browns with Dan Labbe, Browns beat reporter. Some new national mock drafts. Todd McShay, ESPN, has the Browns selecting Gregory Rousseau from the Miami Hurricanes. Dan, we've alluded to this. Edge rusher could be, cornerback could be. Rousseau's a guy that, if he's there, the Browns will certainly be looking at.
Yeah, it's just any number of guys that you see in that mix. And, when you look at a guy like that, it's just, again, it's sort of what you're looking for. And, you're not necessarily looking at linebackers. You're not looking at receivers. It's just very targeted what this team could need. So as we kind of go through mock drafts, it's not surprising at all to see a guy like Rousseau there. What I think is interesting is there's so much kind of variance on who could go where. And like, is a guy going to go 15th, or is he going to be there at 26? I just see it all over the board in these mock drafts, and he's one of those guys.
Yeah, and another guy, this guy that Daniel Jeremiah from NFL Network has, this guy that kind of has been linked to the Browns later recently, so later in the draft process. Jamin Davis, linebacker from Kentucky, and again, apparently that's a guy that has been flying up draft boards.
I thought this one was interesting because I did for some of our subscribers, I did a Browns only mock draft, and I had him in like the third round. So to see him mocked to the Browns this early, and you're right, this is a guy that has been flying up draft boards. You really like what he brings to the table traits wise. He's fast, he's athletic. He just does all those things I think this team wants a linebacker to be. That being said, this one's a little bit tough for me to believe just because we've talked so much about linebacker and how this team values it. And if this guy is a really if he's a guy that's could be there in the first round or could be there in the third round, I just don't know if I see them using 26 on him.
Yeah, and then Mike Tannenbaum, former GM of the Jets, has the Browns taking Jalen Phillips, another Miami, Florida outside edge guy. And this is another guy that, same thing as Rousseau. Could go 10th, could go 26th.
Right, and he's one of those guys. There's a couple cornerbacks that I think this about. If he's there at 26, I might just turn in that card and run a minute off the clock. I might not need to take my whole time because it seems really easy to just take him there if he's available. And you bring in a guy that could be a starter week one on the edge opposite of Myles Garrett. It takes the pressure off of McKinley, and he can come in and compete with him for that job. This one seems easy to me. If he's sitting there at 26, he'd definitely be a guy I would consider.
Let me ask you this. If there is a cornerback or an edge rusher that the Browns really like, and we're not going to know that, could you see them trading like a third or one of their draft picks? I don't think they'd trade their second, but trading a pick to move up 5 or 6 spots to get a guy they really like in the first round?
I think they would. I don't think we're talking about moving up real high, but if they need to move up a few spots to get a guy that they've just fallen in love with and they want to make sure they can get him, I don't see why you wouldn't, because you've got 9 draft picks right now. And it's really hard when you sit down and you go through these 9 picks and you start getting to that third round, fourth round. You're never going to turn down talent or turn down adding players, but it's hard sometimes to figure out, what are they going to do with this pick? Where is this guy going to fit on this 53-man roster? I think there's going to be some trade activity.
Yeah, would. Go ahead. I didn't.
I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be hard to add 9 players, and if you can use those draft picks to move up, I would do it.
Yeah, and again, that would be play into what we've talked about with Andrew Berry. He is aggressive and decisive. So if he decides, say for some odd reason, J.C. Horn or Gregory Newsome, cornerbacks fall, and they're sitting there at 21, I could definitely see them saying, all right, 3rd-round pick, and we go up and we get them.
Yeah, I mean, if they've decided that they want to draft a starting cornerback, and like you said, J.C. Horn is a guy that I would absolutely give up some picks to move up and get. And there's other cornerbacks in this draft that I would do that for. Edge rusher, honestly, maybe not, because I think there are enough guys there that you can get a pretty good player at 26. But if they have a chance to get one of these top corners that maybe falls for whatever reason, I would jump on that opportunity, especially because you've got 89 and 91 kind of packed together in that 3rd round. So I think something's got to give. You've either got to use one to move up, or you've got to punt on a couple of these picks and turn them into picks next year.
Last thing we'll talk about, Bleacher Report came out with 5 veterans that are most likely to be traded before the NFL draft. And one of the guys on that is David Njoku. And I could certainly see that, just because he would have some value to another team, and you might get some assets back that you like.
Yeah, look, Njoku's name is always going to come up in this stuff, but it's just, I think we're to a point now where it's just hard for me to believe that this franchise is going to give up on him right now. They have stuck by him going all the way back to last year when they picked up that 5th-year option. They let that 5th-year option become guaranteed this year at the start of the new league year. It's just hard for me to believe that this franchise, ever since Andrew Berry took over and Kevin Stefanski took over, has come this far with David Njoku. And, if we've seen his social media posts, we've seen that he says he's all in. This is home now. This is where he wants to be. It's just really hard for me to believe that now they're going to give up on him. And I'm just not sure the return is going to merit making a trade. I don't think anybody's going to give up. I don't know. It would be hard for me to believe somebody would really give up even a day 2 pick to get Njoku right now.
What about one of the other veterans on that list, Stephon Gilmore from the Patriots, a guy that had a huge Pro Football Focus cover grade? Is that somebody you could see the Browns working a pick for, a draft pick for, if it is palatable for the Browns?
Yeah, look, I don't think they're giving up a 1st or 2nd rounder for him, but I think you got to kick the tires on anybody that becomes available, especially somebody as talented as Gilmore, a guy who has played at a high level, played in big games like Gilmore. At some point you do have to kind of weigh the cost, right? If you think it's just better to draft a guy and have that cost control for a long time and just kind of let Stephon Gilmore be someplace else, and maybe that's what you choose to do. It'll tell you a lot about what they feel about Denzel Ward too, right? They're probably going to pick up that 5th-year option shortly after the draft, maybe give him an extension. I think they believe he's a number 1 corner type. And then if they can find another young guy to pair with him that's not going to be real expensive, that might be the best path forward.
Dan Labbe, Browns beat reporter here on cleveland.com, as well as in the pages of the Plain Dealer. As always, great stuff. Appreciate the time and the insight. Thanks very much, Dan.
All right. Thanks a lot.
All right, Dan Labbe, Browns beat reporter. We're going to step aside, take a quick time out. Indians home opener was here. Fans were in the stands. We will talk to Gab Kreuz about what's going on, what's new at Progressive Field, and how happy it is to have fans back watching the Indians. Sports for CLE will continue. Stay with us.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions, or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
Better days are ahead. Be ready with the training you'll need to get a great job. If you or your family has experienced financial hardship as a result of COVID-19, Tri-C can help with full tuition assistance. Whether you want to improve your skills, get certified, or train for a new career, go to tri-c.edu to check out our programs and resources. So what are you waiting for? Register now for online and on-campus summer classes. Tri-C is where futures begin.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a line. A long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Do you like Ohio State football? Would you like to get information from me, Doug Maurice, about Ohio State football without having to look at my face? We have got the plan for you. Become an Ohio State text subscriber through cleveland.com. You send a text, 614-350-3315. What do you get? 2, 3, 4 texts right in your phone every day about Ohio State football. Inside information, polls, voting, all kinds of things. You can be on our podcast. We take text subscriber questions on our Buckeye Talk podcast every week. If you really want to be involved with Ohio State football, in season or out of season, become an Ohio State text subscriber from cleveland.com. Send a text to 614-350-3315. 14-day free trial. What do you have to lose? $3.99 a month after that. 614-350-3315. I'll see you in your phone.
Sports4CLE continues. No Indians baseball, but plenty of baseball around the area. It's a live look at the ballpark at Hudson, Hudson Explorers, and the Wadsworth Grizzlies on the diamond playing some varsity baseball over at the ballpark at Hudson. Welcome back inside Sports4CLE. I'm Dave Bacon. Time to shift our attention to the Indians and Progressive Field, an off day. But we welcome in Gab Kreuz, in-park host over at Progressive Field. Gab, thanks for the time. Tell me, how much fun was it opening day, the atmosphere, fans back in the ballpark after such a long wait?
It was refreshing. It was good to be home. You know, I think people have waited so long just for that atmosphere, because baseball is one of those unique sports where you know, you get up, you walk around, you're chatting with people, and you're outside, and it's beautiful. So it's more of an experience to be at the ballpark, and I know people miss that. It's a very homey feel. So it was very nice, even with just our 30% capacity. It was awesome.
So what are some of the things that we should be on the lookout for at Progressive Field this year? Give us the inside stuff, some of the new things, some of the things we'll be able to do.
Well, I wish it was like more things to do, but it's actually, we're starting out a little more conservatively, just so, you know, we can be cautious and keep this thing in good shape for us. I'm sure things might change up a little bit as the summer goes along, but for now, you know, we've gone to contactless entry, so we're fully mobile entry to get into the ballpark, which means you just download the MLB Ballpark app and you're able to basically beep in with your tickets that way. And I know they're trying to do that a little bit more around the ballpark too, so when you hit up the team shop and the different places around the ballpark, they're encouraging, you know, that contactless type of payment that you can do right with your phone, which is also convenient. You know, we're smartphone users anyway nowadays, so that was like a little nice transition. And, you know, of course, we'll have plenty of sanitizer. They were giving out cute little home opener sanitizers all around the ballpark yesterday. Some of the in-game entertainment for now is a little cut back. I'll say my job is more about getting you excited than it is interacting exactly with people, because you got to think about it. I would be the biggest COVID spreader of all time, because in the past I'm high-fiving, hugging, interacting, talking with people all the time. So they're like, we got to scale that back in these pandemic times. So right now there's not a ton of, you know, interactive game type things going on. Again, I don't know how much of that is going to change as the season goes along, and we'll see, you know, what the governor says and what the different safety and health protocols are around the state and everything. But yeah, still some exciting action to look forward to. Lots of food, of course. We got great food, this, in the ballpark. And we still have the slider and the hot dogs and me and our striker dancers showing up and trying to get you jazzed about Cleveland Indians baseball. So it's still a great time.
Tell me about some of the food. There's some really good food. Come on, give us the recommendations for the food at Progressive Field.
Oh, well, you got to hit up Happy Dog. That's the one that has the slider dog. It's got all the Fruit Loops and stuff on there. If you're looking for something crazy and colorful, you can't go wrong right over there. I'm trying to think, what are some other good? Oh, Barrio Nachos are never a disappointment. Very highly rivaled with Momocho Nachos, which are also very good. We do this debate in Scoreboard all the time, which nachos are the best. But really, we just have these great options for you to choose from. I like jalapenos and all that jazz, and you can get that at both. So it's really just, whatever you're feeling. I'll take whatever, honestly. We've also got Ohio City burrito. That's pretty solid as well. I'm trying to run through the ballpark in my head. It's just so nice that we have some of these like local restaurants that are actually, you can get in the ballpark. That's super unique. It's clever, and it's awesome.
How excited are you to have fans? And it's probably going to get a little bit more as far as the capacity goes, because the governor, right before the opener, kind of lifted that a little bit. So how excited are you to have fans back in? I know the players are excited. How excited is the franchise and the people that are around the ballpark?
I know the players are super jazzed. It's got to be a totally different atmosphere for them, playing in front of people. But I'm excited too, because I am a people person. So this past year was interesting for me, to say the least. And it's just so weird, because even you miss like the ushers and all the people at the ballpark, really, all the people that you're just so used to seeing, and like I said, high-fiving and hugging and talking to. So we've resorted to like air fives and air hugs now, but that's enough for me. I still get to chat with people and say hello to our familiar faces. And, some of our season ticket holders, just some faces you've seen throughout the years. And it's just really nice. I missed people. I didn't realize how much of an extrovert I was until we all got shut down.
Now, 105 tomorrow, so an afternoon game, so it should be great weather. And again, there'll be fans in the ballpark.
Yes. Yeah, I'll be working. That's the other thing we're doing right now with hosts. They just want one host a game until we can open things up a little bit more. So I'm working weekends and Mondays. So my partner, Chris, will be taking over tomorrow. Nice day game. It looks like you mentioned, it'll be great weather. So, this baseball team's not bad either. I know people are complaining on Twitter and blah, blah, blah. We don't have any bats, but it's still early, and some of these young players, I think, are going to surprise people as they come along. Even our pitchers are, fine-tuning some of what they've got. I thought the Slim Reaper looked pretty good yesterday. Logan Allen didn't do a bad job, and Karen Chak is Wild Thing is he's going to be something special if he continues to stay sharp. So I think there are still a lot of things to look forward to. Yesterday, we hit the ball hard. We just hit it to everyone, to people. So, yeah, we'll see what's going on. But I have all the faith that this will be a fun season.
Gab Kreuz, as always, appreciate it. Gab Kreuz, in-park host over at Progressive Field. Appreciate it. Thanks very much. We'll check back in with you later in the year. Thanks, Gab. All right, so we're going to step aside, take a quick time out. On the other side of the break, we'll hear from Shane Bieber. He will get the start tomorrow for the Indians against the Kansas City Royals. His second time taking the mound as a starter here this season. Sports4CLE. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Life is starting to get back on track, and you can too. If you or your family have experienced financial hardship as a result of COVID-19, Tri-C can help with full tuition assistance. Safely get the in-demand degree or training you need with online and on-campus classes. Go to tric-edu to check out our programs and resources. So, what are you waiting for? Register now for summer classes. Tri-C is where futures begin.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a line. a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Well, hello everyone. Let me tell you a little bit about Browns Football Insider. For only $3.99 a month, you can get texts sent right to your phone each day from me, Dan Labbe, Scott Pasco, and Ellis Williams. In addition to that, you'll receive a Football Insider newsletter every day with special things from us, things that you won't see anywhere else on the site. You'll get breaking news, analysis, features, film breakdown, and things like that. Texting us directly gives you a great chance to cut through the clutter of Facebook, Twitter, other social media, and avoid the trolls. Also, it's the only way to get your questions on the Orange and Brown Talk podcast. So why should you sign up? Try a 14-day free trial. You can cancel at any time. All it takes is one text, but you won't want to cancel. We have hundreds of subscribers join us over the last year. They love it and have stayed with us. We're seeing the Football Insider community grow every week. And it's only $3.99 a month, which is less than 14 cents a day. What I like most about Football Insider is the opportunity to connect with you one-on-one and really communicate with you. So how can you become a Football Insider? You can click on cleveland.com/Browns, the blue banner at the top of the page. Or easier yet, text me at 216-208-3965. Again, that's 216-208-3965.
Sports4CLE continues. It is beautiful baseball weather. A live look at the ballpark at Hudson. Hudson hosting the Wadsworth Grizzlies varsity baseball action. Indians have the day off. But they are getting ready to face the Kansas City Royals tomorrow in a 1:05 game in the afternoon. It will be Shane Bieber on the hill, the Indians' Cy Young Award winner, the ace of the staff. It will be Bieber's second start of the season. Bieber, very good in the opener. He lost to the Tigers, gave up a 2-run homer in the first. That's all he gave up in 6 innings. Struck out 12, but took the loss. And really, all of the Indian starters have been very good, going 5, 6, or 7 innings. None of them have given up any more than 3 earned runs in their starts. Bieber, kind of the leader of it, he and Terry Francona have both been very happy with the development of the young pitchers who are getting their first experience, especially guys like Logan Allen.
That's exactly it. He sees his opportunity, and I'm confident that he'll continue to seize that opportunity and take advantage of it. He's done incredibly throughout the spring and really over the last couple of years since we've had him. I've watched him grow as a person, as a player, as a pitcher, and I know he's going to continue that momentum moving forward. So in terms of the rotation, we've dealt with some adversity in the first 3 games, but in terms of a long season and 32 starts apiece, if we can continue to replicate what we've done to this point, I think we'll be in a good spot. So we're going to try to go deep into ball games and give our team the best chance to win. I've had a couple of days to reflect, and although it didn't go as planned or as I would have liked, it's a cool memory to have to pitch in that type of weather and stuff like that. But yeah, it definitely is a little bit harder to warm up. Velocity is going to tend to dip down on a league average, and it's going to be a little bit harder to grip the ball. But at the end of the day, it's our job to go out there and pitch and pitch competitively, and that's what you got to find a way to do.
So Shane Bieber was talking about pitching in a snowstorm, basically a snow flurry against the Tigers. Much better weather when he takes the mound against the Royals tomorrow over at Progressive Field, 1 o'clock start. Now, the Indians' offense has struggled, given its 4 games, honestly, yeah. Not any time to go crazy and panic, but certainly there's some concerning things. The Indians' young hitters, some of them getting really their first extended chance to prove it at the major league level, feel that, they'll be fine. They're not panicking. As a team, Indians hitting just 205, 2 for 18 with runners in scoring position, but none of the guys in that lineup say it's time to panic just yet.
We're having a very good at-bats. Since day one, we are fighting. When everybody start hitting and those balls start dropping, we're gonna be good. I trust my teammates. I trust myself. I trust my pitcher, and the pitchers are doing a very good job. So when those balls start falling, we're gonna be good.
We're not stringing them together. I mean, we did hit some balls hard, and I don't ever want to talk down our offense because that's not what we're here for. But we're gonna have to string some together. Eddie, that last, Santana making that play, that obviously is a big play of the game because if that ball scoots by, we're in business.
Terry Francona talking about the hit Eddie Rosario had that Carlos Santana went to the line, made a play, and got a force out at second with runners at first and second. So Indians back at it, trying to get everything straightened out and headed in the right direction against the Royals, 1 o'clock tomorrow at Progressive Field. Want to remind you, you can email us, sports4, the number 4, CLE at gmail.com. Also, you can get a hold of us. Voicemail of Truth and Reason, the Les Levine voicemail of Truth and Reason, 216-200-6650. Again, the Les Levine voicemail of Truth and Reason, 216-200-6650. That'll do it for this edition of Sports for CLE. Tomorrow, Wednesday, scheduled guest, Browns beat reporter Mary Kay Cabot. Also, we will have Mac Robinson from the Hurry Up Podcast joining us. We'll talk plenty of Browns football. Sports for CLE tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Have a great day. We will see you again Wednesday at 4 o'clock.